Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. Two Columbus police officers are being held as heroes when a tornado struck the friendly city nearly 2 weeks ago. A Columbus man found himself trapped inside a building buried under debris. On Tuesday, Officer Roger Tate and Corporal Roman Sones received certificates of commendation for rescuing the man inside. Our Quentin Smith, he speaks with one of the officers involved with the rescue. He now joins us live in the studio with their story. Hey, Quentin.
Scott, the officer I spoke with says he's grateful they were able to safely and successfully rescue the man who was trapped inside. However, he doesn't consider himself a hero. He says what he did that Saturday is just one of his many duties as a Columbus police officer, serving and protecting his community. Body cam footage shows intense moments as two Columbus police officers rescue an elderly man trapped inside a collapsed building.
911 called us and said that a supervisor for the building had an employee that was trapped, and he already spoke to his employee over the phone. And they gave us the address and where they're going to be located.
With the tornado causing a power outage and leaving behind massive damage all throughout town, the two officers were truly walking into the unknown.
We had to leave our vehicles some ways back and then find a roundabout way to run through the down foliage.
Braving the elements, the two CPD officers used their flashlights to help them make their way through the scattered debris and find their way to the demolished building.
It didn't look like there would be anything left. The way the building was down, we didn't think we'd be able to find anybody, and we didn't know that he'd be in there. But I guess he heard the other officer and I talking to each other, then he yelled out for us, and then we saw him.
Once they spotted him, officers lifted door frames, cinder blocks, and other debris that had the elderly man trapped inside.
For one, the fact that he was still alive, that was the utmost important thing. And I was also amazed that, given his age and his injuries, that he's able to at least walk with help. But that was a big relief, knowing that he wasn't critically injured or seriously wounded in that nature.
It took officers roughly 15 minutes to get him out of the building. We're blurring the victim's face to help protect his identity. Once rescued, officers had to create a makeshift bridge to walk him out of the damaged area and get him to a hospital.
An ambulance was trying to get to us, but because power lines are down, there's no way they could make it. You could actually, where we were at, we could see the ambulance 2 or 3 blocks away that was stuck. So the officer Tate, his car was closer. He was able to put in the back of that, and he drove in the ambulance himself.
Corporal Roman Sones says he's thankful that their efforts helped lead to a safe rescue. However, while many others are calling it a heroic act, Sones says he was simply doing his job.
More or less, that's what our job is. I mean, it does say protect and serve on the badge and the vehicle. So I wouldn't say hero, I would just say a good employee.
Now, I'm told the victim was bleeding and did receive some cuts while being trapped inside the building. However, he is now doing fine and he is stable. I also want to point out the Columbus City Council recognized the officers for their outstanding job performance during their meeting this past Tuesday. Scott?
$1 million bond and a March 20th arraignment await an Itawamba County man accused of killing his wife. 22-year-old Avery Underwood was indicted on murder charges by the most recent Itawamba County grand jury. He is suspected of strangling his 19-year-old wife, Destiny Underwood, to death. Deputies, they were called to the couple's home on Footney Brown Road back on June 5th, 2018. The March 20th court appearance will be Avery Underwood's official arraignment on the murder charge. The Mississippi Supreme Court is likely finished with the appeals of longtime death row inmate Eddie Loden. The High Court says it will not rehear its 2018 ruling denying Loden's argument that the execution drugs were not foolproof. Loden, who pled guilty to the 2000 kidnapping, rape, and murder of 16-year-old Lisa Marie Gray in Itawamba County, argued there was not enough proof that the drug midazolam would be painless during the execution. The court ruled Loden presented no evidence that drug would not work as intended. This means, unless Loden files a new appeal citing other issues, the state is finished hearing arguments. Loden can still appeal in federal court. He is already part of a federal case filed by death row inmates challenging execution drug safety. Until those federal appeals are finalized, Mississippi cannot set an execution date for Loden. Switching gears now, time to get a first look at our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Hey there, Keith.
Scott, some showers are possible on our Friday. It should be a little bit warmer overall, back into the 60s. Winds from the south and southeast about 5 to 15. Probably not an all-day rain here, but there will be some rain around. Now, this evening we've been watching Some patches of moisture in the clouds. Can't rule out a few light sprinkles here. Most of the energy right now is to our north, but as we see the system get a little bit more organized later this evening and tonight, yes, there could be some rain. So that could be our issue for Friday. As I mentioned, a little bit warmer, 60s. Now we may see some strong storms on Saturday, Scott. More on that next system in just a few minutes.
There are new concerns tonight about a bill that some are saying is getting fast-tracked through the Mississippi legislature. Supporters of the Landowners Protection Act say it's designed to protect against frivolous lawsuits. Now opponents say they have more cause for alarm. Courtney Jackson explains how the bill is connected to a timber Ponzi scheme.
The Landowners Protection Act has kicked up dust around the Capitol from the start.
Very, very concerned that the explanation of the bill does not describe to you what the bill does.
A post has surfaced that raises questions on whether the bill originally would have impacted all kinds of lawsuits. Opponents now wonder if the authors always knew that. A web post by the court-appointed receiver of the Madison Timber Ponzi scheme suggests the original bill could shift some financial responsibility from Butler Snow and Banker Donaldson law firms to Arthur Lamar Adams, the master of the scheme. The law firms did legal work for Adams and, according to federal documents, also allegedly recruited investors to Adams' timber business.
There's always been concerns, even when the bill was represented on the Senate floor, that the bill did more than what was presented. And the surfacing of this article supports that belief.
This is about premises liability. That's why we acted fast and put the language in there to calm any concerns anyone may have.
Still, opponents are questioning why the bill has moved so quickly through the process.
I think the bill needs further study, and we do not need to rush this bill this session.
Courtney Jackson, WCBI News.
A recent judge's order is changing gun rules at courthouses in the First Circuit Court District. Previously, when court was in session, people with permitted concealed weapons were able to enter the courthouse, but not courtrooms. Our Riley Livingston explains how that is changing and who is opposed to it.
Courthouses in the First Circuit Court District have new rules to follow when it comes to weapons. The First Circuit judges say the entire courthouse is an extension of the courtroom, which means guns, even permitted concealed weapons, aren't allowed during court session. The reason? Safety.
The whole intention of this whole law, or this order that we got from the judges, is just to make sure that the courthouse is safe. It's safe for the general public. It's safe for the judges. It's safe for the deputies that are working there and the people that are employed there.
But guns rights activist Rick Ward says this won't change anything. He says nationwide state court statistics show only 78 so-called violent attacks occurred in the last 10 years studied in county courthouses. None of those involved guns, explosives, or fire. 5 or less occurred inside the courthouse. Regulation of firearms would prevent such shootings. In every case, the shooting occurred with the use of a deputy's gun after being overpowered by a suspect. He says this goes against a recent ruling by the Mississippi Supreme Court. Ward filed a case against the 14th Chancery District in Lowndes County, and the Supreme Court decided the orders were too broad and could never be constitutional as written. They said the judiciary had no authority outside the courtroom doors. And they said the state constitution only allows the legislature to regulate concealed weapons. The difference between the 14th Chancery District order and the most recent order is when it applies. The First Circuit order only applies when court is in session.
While court is in session, that no one, even in the courthouse, because it's an extension of the courtroom, can do that also. And I think that's a good situation, because we want our court people, our court staffs, to be just as safe as people in the courtroom.
Ward says the difference is one of language. The judges want weapons banned during court sessions, while the law as written singles out judicial proceedings. He says different judges may interpret those terms in different ways. For now, Sheriff Cecil Cantrell says the judge's ruling stands.
We're going to keep the weapons out of the courtroom and also out of the courthouse at this point. That's what the judges have ordered, and we're going to go with that order.
The ruling applies to courthouses in the First Circuit Court District. Now that includes Alcorn, Itawamba, Lee, Monroe, Pontotoc, Prentiss, and Tishomingo counties.
We are less than 2 weeks away from spring. March 20th, 4:58. That's when it officially begins. Already, though, we are into that spring storm season. Saturday, another round of storms likely around the region, maybe another one by Wednesday and or Thursday. So pretty active here. More details on all of this after the break.
WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
No major issues out there this evening. A live view in downtown Columbus with our Alpha Insurance Camera Network. Let's do a little Skycam tour at Durham's Pharmacy in West Alabama. We started off the day with chilly conditions, some sunshine, some frost, but we moderated things. Louisville, Mississippi, all quiet here. There's a little bit of shower activity trying to develop around here, but the air is still pretty dry. As you can see in Tupelo, not really a lot of action, but a few blips showing up on radar. Most of that probably not reaching the ground, but again, there could be a few light showers here as we go throughout the course of the next few hours, maybe some slightly better odds later tonight. The surface, very dry, dew points down into the 30s, but moisture is coming on back here, folks, so things will be a little bit more conducive for rain and storms as we go throughout the next couple of days, especially on Saturday. Now, speaking of Saturday, notice how we have the thunderstorm energy, these brighter colors, really start to ramp on up here as the atmosphere warms up a little bit. Wind shear develops as some fast-moving wind, a different wind direction with height in the atmosphere, incoming cold front. All of that means a chance for some severe weather, category 2 of 5 here, that slight risk. Now, for Saturday itself, we're thinking sometime from late morning through the evening. That's a pretty broad time frame, so we'll fine-tune this a little bit tomorrow, I hope, but the front's coming in here very slow, so we'll have a chance for some strong damaging wind gusts. A few tornadoes can't be ruled out, maybe a little bit of hail, and a quick 1 to 2 inches of rain. We don't need any more rain around here because it is awfully wet, but it could be another soaker in some spots with some of these storms as they develop around here. Tomorrow, though, we're looking at some low to mid 60s north, mid to upper 60s south, and low to mid 60s in West Alabama. Winds from the south at about 5 to 15. Decent chance for some passing showers from time to time. It won't be an all-day washout, I don't think, but rain showers will be around, maybe even a few storms too. We've got 60s and some 70s here in the region. So right now, we'll check things out with Futurecast. Notice how there could be some rain around in the morning. Also during the course of the day into the evening, with this frontal boundary lifting to the north, we may see a little arc of showers and thunder showers. For Saturday morning, at this point, it looks pretty benign overall for a good chunk of Saturday morning, at least through mid-morning. And then we'll watch some storms start to bubble on up by late morning into the afternoon right there. So from late morning into the afternoon and the evening, all out ahead of that front right there, we will have the chance for some strong to severe storms. So Alex will have the very latest on that tomorrow morning at sunrise, 4:30 in the morning, and of course another update here tomorrow night. There's your forecast. More of the show after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. More and more places are starting to offer areas where mothers can breastfeed. We learn more about Baptist baby-friendly designation in our Health Talk with Baptist.
Hi, I'm Susan Spencer, the Director of Women's Services at Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle. Tonight we will discuss the how and why of exclusive breastfeeding. Two of the important factors that can influence success in breastfeeding are breast milk only and only at the breast. Babies are made to breastfeed. Their stomach capacity is about the size of a small marble or a small grape. That's all they need at one feeding. They are also built for slow flow at first and will become easily confused with the gush of milk received from an artificial nipple. Their mouths conform differently to a pacifier and artificial bottle nipple than to mother's nipple. This can all be very confusing to some newborns and cause great stress to mothers who are trying to get breastfeeding off to a good start. The flip side of this is the woman's body only makes more of what is used. If the infant is fed formula, she will not want to breastfeed as frequently, and that will lead to a decreased milk supply. Another way to say this is, in order to make plenty of milk, keep using what is made. Some mothers worry that their infant is feeding too often. This is quite normal and helps build an abundant milk supply. Additionally, formula can interfere with the infant's immune system, which is a primary reason many women want to breastfeed. The staff at Baptist Hospital are specially trained to ensure that your infant is feeding well and off to a healthy start. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
Local teams battled it out in Jackson with hopes of claiming a trophy and a state title. Highlights from today's games are coming up next in sports.
WCBI sports coverage of the SEC basketball tournament is brought to you by Wade Incorporated. Bank First, a better way to bank. And visit Columbus, the city that has it all.
Welcome to sports. I'm Courtney Robb. Mississippi State with a double bye in the SEC tournament, which means that the Bulldogs won't see any game action until tomorrow. WCBI Sports' Tom Ebel was able to sit in on practice today and reports from Greenville with more.
At the beginning of today, Mississippi State didn't know who they were going to face in the SEC women's basketball quarterfinal. Was it going to be Tennessee or LSU? Well, now it's official. It'll be Mississippi State taking on the Lady Vols on Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time here inside Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina. Mississippi State getting some work in early on Thursday. The Bulldogs fully healthy, fully here. Vic Schaefer and company going through reps, going through practice. At the time of practice, they didn't know who they were going to be playing, but they still had to prepare for both. Mississippi State taking on the Lady Vols team. They defeated 91-63 back in Starkville on February 10th. If you're looking at it matchup-wise, Tennessee likes to run. They want to get out in transition, and it's a team Mississippi State can match up well with, as they prove that they won in style in Starkville in February. But Mississippi State, they looked cool, they looked calm, they look relaxed, and we'll see if the Bulldogs can advance on to the semifinal coming up tomorrow here in Greenville. But reporting here inside Bon Secours Wellness Arena, Tom Ebel for WCBI Sports. Courtney, will send it back to you in Columbus.
Thank you, Tom. Well, let's go from one hardwood to another. The defending 1A state champs Oklahoma trying for another against East Marion. That was Jacoria Stanfield with the rack and the layup, putting them up by 2. East Marion gets the ball. The big fella, John Rawls, surveys the court and scores through the double team to put the Eagles on the board. Later in the first, Deontay Hampton drives, puts some English on the layup to get it to fall, and the Chieftains up by 4. Now, second quarter, a loose ball. Stanfield recovers it, does a filthy crossover, and then the behind the back to Jamal Moore for the bucket. But East Marion was way too much today here. Fenard McGlynn gets the steal, takes it all the way to the rim for the layup. East Marion knocks off the defending Okolona champions to get their first state title in school history, 58-53. Okolona's head coach Ateria Clifton talked about the team's season after the game. Louisville and Ripley squaring off in the girls. Actually, this is still Okolona and Okolona getting going, but we'll try to get some more highlights for you in just a second. But, oh, here, Louisville and Ripley squaring off in the girls for a state championship right here on the fast break. Amelia Hatch goes hard to the rim, gets fouled, and makes the bucket. The Tigers would be down by 3. Now moving into the second quarter, the Wildcats with the ball. Jalen Ingram finds Ajira Tompkins on the wing, knocks down the wide open 3, and Louisville goes up by 6. Ripley refusing to go away. Amelia Hatch passes to Summer Kirkman, who pass fakes and jacks the tray. The swish bucket, the Tigers down by 3. Louisville able to power pass Ripley 35-31. The Wildcats able to hoist that golden trophy over their heads and take it back to Louisville with them.
Man, it's just special to win the championship at any time because, man, a lot of people don't get an opportunity to get here. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a blessing to be here, you know. These ladies done went through so much that, I mean, this year, it's just a blessing, man.
It feels amazing. Like, we worked hard for this. Just Louisville, not just a football school, it's a basketball school too. So it feels good to have 2 state championships back at home.
I feel like everything we worked for paid off. We did what we had to do. We did what our coach told us to do, and we won.
It feels amazing. This is what we've been working for all year. All the bleachers, all the suicides, up and downs of the football field. This is what we always been working for the whole season.
I thought Louisville played a great game. They defended us pretty well, and you know, shots didn't fall for us, and you know, that's the way basketball goes sometimes.
The last look at your weather is next. Stick with us.
Some showers around tomorrow, Scott. Not an all-day rain. Should be a little bit warmer, back into the 60s. Still looking at the potential for some strong storms Saturday. We're hopeful that we can squeeze in a dry day Sunday as we spring ahead, but more spring-like storms possible by the middle of next week.
All right, sounds good. I know you guys will be here keeping your eyes on it.
Of course.
Sure. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And it's Friday tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we'll see you then.